Okay, hello everybody. I'm Brian, and this is Amy News and Conversation. I'm here today with two of our movers and shakers from the sterilization standards community. Names that you probably recognize, if not their faces. We're here with Amanda Benedict, our Vice President of Sterilization, and Jen Benolken. And Jen, I would like you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Sure. So, Jen Benolken, I'm with Dupont. I just passed my 8-year anniversary there, so I'm excited about that. I have been in industry for 33 years, predominantly in the packaging space, but I have worked with sterilization and labeling as well, predominantly between medical device manufacturers and the supply side, about half and half. Which is kind of fun. It gives me a unique perspective to the medical device community. Always on medical device side, I've investigated pharmaceuticals, so I'm aware of it, but I'm not in-depth knowledgeable about it. So I'm really excited to be here today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And that unique perspective that you're talking about has led you to be involved in a lot of different initiatives, both AAMI, but also Kilmer. And
Yep.
we're going to talk about those Kilmer collaborative communities today because there's a lot of groups. I was surprised when we were talking about how many groups are involved. There's about 5 right now,
Yep.
is that right?
Yep.
And all of those groups kind of are under the auspices or under the umbrella of the Kilmer collaborative community that has just been recognized by the FDA.
Correct.
Really exciting news. I don't know exactly what that means though. Can you help me understand this?
About the Kilmer Collaborative
The recognition
group,
of the
the
FDA.
recognition.
Yeah.
I think basically what it allows us to do is speak openly with the FDA about different projects that the industry finds compelling and, as we say in KIP, big wicked problems that the community or individuals within the community have not been able to conquer on their own. And so
Mm.
having that bridge with the FDA, I think, is going to help the community, in the spirit of Kilmer, make advances a lot quicker.
Now, Amanda, you also participate in a bunch of these groups and speak with them often. What are they really setting out to achieve? What do they do?
Well, they look into specific challenges that are facing industry. So, very common challenges, and they more or less put heads together, decide which problems they're going to work to solve, and then pursue them. And we've seen a lot of great things come out of the collaboration teams, lots of publications, lots of research, presentations. So, very active groups and really working to move the needle forward and advance the science.
It is really exciting. I've personally seen some of the impact of these groups. Say the materials compatibility group quite recently helped us create a special publication
Yeah.
that was all about a lot of the recent research that is now in Amy's peer-reviewed journal, BINT. People can check that out online. I'll put a link in the description. But that's just one example of a lot of hard work over several years that these groups are doing. And now we have somewhat of a commitment from the FDA saying, hey, we're going to send somebody from the CDRH, that's the Centers for Radiological Health, to participate. What does that mean? Why is that important?
It's important because it helps the teams early on identify directions that are potentially going to be accepted ultimately by the regulatory agencies, not only starting with FDA but around the world. I kind of like to think of it in terms of the Kilmer collaboration teams are almost like an incubator. They're a pre-standards, a pre-test method, kind of proving that out because there really hasn't been a space for that to work on as a community. I don't think before these teams started to congregate and start working on those big wicked problems. So it's really that conduit to saying, yeah, this is the right direction for us to be heading in, and I think a lot is going to come to fruition and unfold in the coming days, weeks, months, and years as we learn more about what this collaboration will mean for both the FDA and the collaboration teams. So we're very much on a learning process right now.
Right. And the really nice thing about having FDA involvement, it's not just that industry gets to hear the regulatory perspective and that regulators are aware of the kind of think tank activity
Mhm.
that's going on in the collaboration teams. It's that the FDA and other regulators have the opportunity to interject the issues that they're seeing and work together with industry to identify solutions and approaches to
Mhm.
address those.
Oh, that's good. And I like that you mentioned that, it's almost like a pre-standard step because the same people who are participating in those groups and committees are also participating in AAMI committees, AAMI standards groups, et cetera. So they're bringing those insights Amanda's mentioning to also the standards table, which is something we say all the time. You want to be at the table to be able to share the correct information and
Yeah.
influence best practices. Um, I will say, though, that we're also seeing cross pollination between these groups at conferences, events. And I know we have an exciting one coming up that's all Kilmer all the time. That's going to be the Kilmer conference
Yeah.
in February. Um, I'm curious, what are we expecting out of that conference? Jen, I know that you're co-lead for these Kilmer groups that we were talking about,
Yep.
the collaborative communities, and you're also helping with the planning committee with the Kilmer conference that's coming up. Amanda, you're obviously helping put that together in a big way. What can we expect from these groups coming into Kilmer? Is there anything that we should be especially looking forward to hear about?
Well, so on the last day, we're going to have one of the sessions, I think it's in the afternoon, that's focused on the Kilmer community work groups. And we'll be talking about not only about where we are right now, but about where we want to go into
Mm.
the future. And on the first day, we'll be hosting a survey of the audience and taking the results of that and talking about that as it applies to the community as well. Um, there's no shortage of ideas for where these teams can go and want to go, um, but it'll also be an opportunity for the community within Kilmer Conference to say, hey, that really sounds interesting to me. I want to get involved in that. And so some of the teams are actively thinking about how do we manage the projects that we have, but also invite more people in.
Mm.
Um, and some of them are more, we want to just talk about what we have going on right now because we do have enough people. And so at the conference, we'll be talking about all of that and probably much more.
Yeah, the really great thing is that we have a lot of presentations, a lot of
Yes.
content that's on
Yes.
the program that's derivative of the work of the collaboration team. So that shows what they have been doing, what they can do. And then what Jen just mentioned is a very future focused piece. So where does this need to head with a lot of input from the broader community?
Oh, that's great. And historically, that's also how a lot of these groups got started, right? Is those surveys and that forward-looking discussions at the Kilmer conference.
I
Yes,
think so. Yes.
that's absolutely correct. Yes. Prior to 2019, there was a survey, the 2019 conference, there was a survey to identify what were the common challenges that industry was facing. And from that, there were, I believe, two groups that were stood
I think
up
so.
originally.
2 or 3.
And then it grew. Then there were two more. And then the Kilmer Innovations and Packaging Group, KIP Group, that was organic. So, but that was
Spontaneously combusted.
exactly. So it's a combination of reaching out to the broader community. What do you need? What are the challenges that we need to focus on? And then the community saying, but wait a minute, there's this additional piece here that somebody needs to tackle. We need to tackle. We certainly appreciate that commitment and your dedication as well, and your involvement to leading the Kilmer Collaborative communities forward and being part of the programming for the conference.
It's really exciting to be a part of. I'm really looking forward to the conference.
Awesome. Well, yeah, Jen, Amanda, thank you so much for joining me today. And there's a lot to look forward to. So here's to that.
Thank you.
All right.